retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson now pushing back hard against a series of media reports in recent days suggesting he has exaggerated, if not fabricated, some of the more compelling episodes in his inspiring biography.
My prediction is that all of you guys trying to pile on is actually going to help me, because when I go out to these book signings, I see these thousands of people. They say, don't let the media get you down. Don't let them disturb you. Please continue to fight for us. See, they understand that this is a witch hunt.
Watching that, it was interesting in the sense that being soft-spoken, being laid back, being very calm has been a trademark, Carson. Flashes of anger there. Does he have a point, or is this testing time?
I think it's testing time. I mean, if it was any one of the things, it would be an issue. But this has been repeated over and over again, questions of his credibility. It was interesting. He was feistier than he's been just about in the whole campaign on Friday, you know, in his press conference there. So it's clearly getting under his skin.
He's not the first politician to face questions and to have people show that he has exaggerated, at least, added some hyperbole, and in some cases, people are suggesting he has fabricated episodes in his life. How important for this is Carson, and is it more important in the sense that we don't have a voting record? We can't say Senator Carson did this or Governor Carson did that. Because he's not a politician, his biography is everything, right?
It takes the place of some of those votes. No, it's a great point. And also, he's getting a reminder that the statements that you can get away with when you're a celebrity in a different realm of public life are wholly different than the statements that you can make when you're running for office, and the scrutiny is much more intense. And that West Point story is obviously a prime example of that. Look, John, he wants to make it about the media. We've seen this movie before. Candidate gets caught with a statement that's at least exaggerated, that they turn their guns back on the media, gain some short-term sympathy. Where does it look in 10 days, 2 weeks? Right. Because we've seen past examples where candidates make it about the media. The instinct, especially on the right, is to circle the wagons and defend the candidate. But does the air come out of the balloon in the polling that you see 2 weeks later based upon the coverage? That has been the trend of the past.
Well, people like him because he's truthful. People like him because of his credibility. And if that starts to erode, I mean, that's why we're seeing him push back so hard. If that starts to whittle away at why people like Ben Carson, that's going to be a problem.
The question is how much of it is a factor at the debate. You have to assume it's going to be an issue at the debate because It's been everywhere. It's been in the Wall Street Journal, which, whether it's his relationship with the drug company, the supplement company, and now the stories about, you know, he said he got a full ride offer, a full scholarship offer to West Point. You could say, you know, he's trying to remember something 45 years ago, but he says it repeatedly. It's in the books. CNN tried to investigate some of these episodes where he says, you know, he was involved in violence as a youth, and the campaign says this weekend they'll bring people forward, and, you know, we honestly hope they do. If these people exist, bring them forward. But when our reporters went and asked and gave them weeks to confront them, they didn't. How much has this become an issue in the debates? Mr. Trump, with Bill O'Reilly the other night, used the word pathological.
I think it will become an issue in the debates. We saw how fast some of his rivals, Donald Trump in particular, was commenting. I mean, like in real time this week, as all these Ben Carson sort of incidents were coming up, Donald Trump was loving this. So I think he will use this as an opportunity. And Ted Cruz just might as well. That is the interesting dynamic here that's happening in Iowa.
That would be the fascinating
Ted
one.
Cruz, Ben Carson dynamic. Right. But and he also may not, because Senator Cruz has run a very smart campaign.
And he hates
so he may
the
sit
right,
back,
too.
Right, and he may sit back and watch this. But look, I do think it is overall an issue for Ben Carson. You can't write your own biography when you're a presidential candidate and expect that no one else is going to look into it. The spotlight is more searing than anything else. So in the short term, it's probably fine, but we do not yet see him stand up to the scrutiny. We'll see if he's tested or not, but I think this debate this week is an interesting moment. I think that people will go after him.
Another interesting moment will be, has Marco Rubio put to rest questions about his finances? When he was a rising star in the Florida State Legislature, the Republican Party said, we want to take advantage of this guy, he'll help us raise money, he'll help us recruit candidates. So he had an American Express card from the party. And he put on it, over the course of several years, 73 of 1,300 charges, essentially, were personal. About 22,000 out of 182,000. For a long time, these records were not public. The campaign put them out yesterday and said, yeah, sure, he probably shouldn't have done this. Yeah, sure, he essentially got a temporary, month-long loan from the state party for a couple of personal things, used the wrong card a couple of times. But their point is, he paid the bill. There were some late fees involved, but he paid the bill. There's no hanky-panky here. Is this done?
I think it does play into the narrative of him struggling financially in his own personal finances. But the issue with the credit card, there was nothing scandalous, it doesn't appear, in these charges It sort of raised the question of why the campaign has waited so long for these to come out.
That's the biggest one for me.
He was asked that question, John, in New Hampshire last week when he was filing his papers to be on the state ballot. And he said basically, well, this was a private matter. This is not a big deal. But he didn't have an answer for the basic question of why would you, knowing you're running for president, wait until you have a nice little bump in the polls in November to put this information out? And as Matt said, it appears to be sort of not much there, but it does raise the question of why not put this out last year or 2 years ago? It's puzzling.
Right.
And talking to the campaign, they were saying their argument, at least, is that it didn't come up in 2010. He was leading in the polls. He was not really in a position where he felt like he needed to release these other 2 years. And lately, the media scrutiny has just reached a level where they felt like they needed to
The campaign
respond.
would say it shines a spotlight on the fact that there isn't anything there. The bigger issue is his retirement accounts. I think just his financial wisdom
Yes.
of cashing out some of these retirement accounts and things.
But if that's all there is,
he
John,
living beyond his means?
If Jeb Bush's campaign, or if the broader field, if this is all they have to use against Rubio, then they're going to have to keep looking.
And it could,
Yeah,
well, and
it's
it
pretty
also
thin.
could
Yeah.
make him more relatable in a lot of ways for your average everyday American.
He had a very Bill Clinton-esque line the other day when he was asked about this in New Hampshire. He was talking about this issue, and he said, "I'm more worried about the country's financial future than my financial past."
Make it about you, not about
Exactly.
me. Right. If he can turn to most of these candidates are wealthy. Most of them are wealthy. If he can turn to them and say, "Oh, sorry, I don't have your money, Mr. Trump," or "I don't have your money, Governor," we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see if there are more questions.